Hello and welcome to Back Paddock. Today we're going to look at how to update maps when you have a client file that you share between your Back Paddock desktop product, the mobile app, and our mapping system in web app. So what we want to do to start off with, we're going to make the changes in web app, which is the site here, webapp.backpaddock.com.au. But before we make any changes, we want to make sure that that client file is closed on both BackPaddock Mobile, which is on the right-hand side here, and in BackPaddock Advisor Manager, so the desktop product. So you can see behind here, I'm not in any client files. I'm just on the home screen. I'm going to be working in this Firecracker file here. So just make sure that you are not in the client file in Advisor or Manager. Make sure that you're on the home screen of BackPaddock Mobile or that you're in a different client file, and then you're good to get started. So let me open up here, find my web app. So now that you're closed out, we're going to go to webapp.backpaddock.com.au and you're going to sign in with your email address and your password, which will be the same password that you use on your mobile app. For most people, this will land on the mapping screen. So from here, you just want to select your client file from the top left corner. Now mine's actually already on the file that I want to do modifications in, so I will just leave it there. Now it's time to do any of your modifications, but before I do anything, I like to export a backup of what's already here. So I'm going to go to the big plus sign in the bottom right corner, import export. I'm going to export. I'm going to choose KML because it's just a single file. It's very easy to keep and move around, and click on export. Now that is going to save to my computer and it's going to have a really random name like this. So just leave that there, close that little pop-up box, and then we're right to start making our modifications. So this might be deleting paddock blocks. So let's do some work here. So fire 7, I've decided that boundary is completely incorrect and I'm going to delete this boundary and draw it again. So I'm going to single click on it. I'm going to click my delete icon, delete that paddock boundary. It will process. Now it's gone and I'm going to redraw it down here. So I'm going to click on my drawing tools. I'm going to click on my little draw boundary icon. And I'm actually going to go around that tree line a little bit. And we're going to single click our way around our boundary. When we come back to the start, then we just single click, select your paddock from the list. Now, sometimes this does take a little bit to populate that save to paddock list. Just wait 10 seconds or so and it should load. Then we're going to click on save. You'll see there in the bottom right corner, there was a paddock saved icon. It does actually refresh this page after about another 5 or 10 seconds or so. So if you are making further modifications, such as drawing a new paddock boundary, just wait those extra few seconds, otherwise it'll be work that becomes undone. You can also use the import function if you wanted to. So if I wanted to import some new maps, I can go to import, I can browse, I can try and find a map. Now let's just go here. I'm going to close that little pop-up box and I'm going to leave this one. So what we have is I'm in Fire Farm at the moment, up in the top left corner here, which is why my farm field is hidden. I'm going to click on paddock name and set here. Now, what I want to do is I actually want to import this one from behind here. I'm going to re-import Fire 7, but with a different name. So I'm doing my best to confuse the program is really what I'm doing here. So I'm going to tick on Fire 7, which highlights this. But instead of that being Fire 7, which I've already redrawn, I'm going to call this one Fire 3. You've got the option here to update paddock area from map. I will do that. And then I'm going to click on import. You don't have to. All that does is updates the area associated with that paddock to match the mapped area. So now I'm going to click on close out of that one. So you can see I've made some modifications. I've deleted a boundary. I've drawn a new boundary for Fire 7. I've imported a boundary and given it a different paddock name to what's in the source file. So I have made modifications. I'm happy with what I've done now. So what I'm going to do is I want to export this to BPAM, which is then going to make that available on our advisor program. So I'm going to click the big plus sign down the bottom here, import, export, BPAM. I'm going to export maps to BPAM. You can see down there was some green icons. It said it was going through. Once again, it goes through and then it takes about another 10 seconds or so to finalize that. So now we're actually going to wait a couple of minutes before we import that to Advisor. But while that's happening, if I come back over here, so I've just minimized Web App and opened up BPAM, I can refresh the file list and I'm seeing what I want to see, which is that there are updates available on Corner Post for this client file. So this means that those updates should be my mapping. So I'll just give that another 10 seconds or so. Remember, refreshing file list doesn't actually sync anything. It just updates this page. And now I'm going to give it a go. So I'm going to double click to go in, click on OK. So you will notice as well that I'm no longer working in Web App. That map is sitting there, but I'm not going to keep clicking in there while I'm trying to sync Advisor because that's just everything works on time and date stamps. So I want to just be working on one thing at a time, which is why we closed everything previously. So if I go to mapping now in Advisor, click on my show boundaries and my show paddock names. Excellent. We have this polygon here, which was previously Fire 7 that we deleted. I've got my new Fire 7 over here that I've drawn, and then I've got a Fire 3, oh there, that's that one there. So those updates have come across. Now, final test in our back paddock mobile, I'm just going to touch on farm management. I'm going to touch on my file. It says here updates available. Touch on done. I'll pause while that's syncing, although it shouldn't take too long. I know it's going through quickly. All right, so it was pretty quick. I paused for about 5 seconds. So I'm just going to touch on the map here. And already we can see that my changes have been incorporated. So my Fire 3 is that one that was previously the other paddock. My Fire 7 is the one that I've wrapped around different tree lanes. And my maps have now been updated everywhere based on the changes that I made in Web App. I hope you find this helpful. Have a great day.